Welcome, Story of the Fight listeners. We have a special episode for you today. We have an interview with Khai Wu, bantamweight fighter, making his PFL debut. I believe it's November 24th, is it, Will?
Yeah, November 24th on the big championship round massive event that PFL is doing at the end of the year. It's a pay-per-view, but Khai Wu will be fighting his bantamweight debut on ESPN Plus, not behind pay-per-view, so definitely check that out. But it's a massive card. It's a big deal that he's on this one. This is where their tournaments all culminate, and they find out who wins $1 million in pretty much every weight class. It's a big, big card. So check that out. Definitely check out this interview. Get to know him so you could root for him.
Awesome. Hope everybody enjoys the interview. Welcome, Story of the Fight listeners. We have a special episode today. Of course, my name is Miro. That's my boy Will. But today with us, we have Khai the Shadow Wu, bantamweight fighter. And Khai, we've talked before, right?
Yep.
Welcome back to the podcast, man.
It was a great conversation last time. You guys got me nerding out, so I was really looking forward to chatting with you guys again.
Hey, well, since last we spoke, we talked about superheroes. We found out that I don't know anything about superheroes, and unfortunately, I still don't know very much about superheroes. But man, I can't tell you how excited Will and I and our producer Rich as well. We're all super excited to talk to you again, Khai, man. Welcome back.
Thank you. Feelings mutual, man. I really always appreciate the support that you guys have given me and my team and, all that. So anytime you guys are down for a chat, I'm always like, let's do it,
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, we're just going to start off super simple. It's casual, Khai, right? And we just want to catch up, man. Like, talk to us about you. What has Khai been doing as of late? What's keeping you busy?
I think the last time we talked was maybe 2 fights ago, and I've gone 1-1 maybe since then. So last time we talked is just about working out a lot of the skills. It was a very weird transitional phase because heading into my A1 fight, I was kind of the gym was still kind of coming together. The team was still kind of coming together because there was a lot of the gym closing down, reopening, this and that. And then I think you kind of see the result where, my last fight, I fought a, champion in the Philippines and he was literally has all finishes, I think, in his fights. And it was kind of a risky move that I kind of came off of a loss and took that fight. Looking back at it, it's like, I think it was dumb. But at the time, I was like, I'm better than this. I got to do that. So honestly, going into that fight, that I had tremendous pressure because I've never lost 2 fights in a row. And then a lot of eyes on me still, and it's weird because before that, it was like during COVID, there's no fights. I had 1 fight in 2021, 2022, I had that one A1 fight that didn't go my way. And regardless of whatever happened, it's just like, why do all these things keep happening? So I was talking about it. It's actually interesting because a lot of this is the mental part. I honestly remember talking to Nick, who's a training partner of mine, literally after my last fight. And I was like, dude, I felt like every morning I woke up, I looked at myself, I'm like, I felt like a failure, like a disappointment. I'm like, for 2-3 years, like I haven't gotten a win. Like, I don't know what this feels like. Why am I like for the last 2-3 years, man, I was like, just mentally, I just did not feel very confident. I wake up and I'm like, I'd be able to get through training and do this and that, but I'm like, I haven't won. Like, I just don't feel very legit. I don't feel like a real fight. I feel like a loser to be exact. And then I head into that fight against that one guy, and I kind of like, as the fight gets closer, I'm kind of looking at his fights, and I'm like, oh shoot, like I probably should have done my homework a little bit more. This guy has heavy hands, gets a bunch of knockouts in the first round, finishes everyone, and I'm like, this is kind of a problem. And heading into my fight 2 weeks out, I think I hyperextend and have a slight tear in my right knee. I was throwing a kick at someone, and then my knee hyperextended. And the way it hyperextended was like, I'm throwing a low kick at someone, and then they basically throw their kick at me, and then my leg wrapped around theirs essentially. So then I threw it so hard, and it just kind of like, I heard a pop and an overextension, and then I was fine. And then for like the next 3-4 days, I couldn't run, I couldn't walk, I just couldn't really kick much. And then the weight cut was really bad. I'm sorry, this might have been 3 weeks before the fight, and the weight cut was rough because I couldn't run. I couldn't do as much as I wanted on the Aerodyne. I remember in Taiwan, as I was getting close to the fight, I was pedaling, and then my foot would like slip off and I hyperextended again. I'm like, oh my
Oh,
god,
jeez.
Oh no.
this is the worst. You know what I mean? And I'm like, listen, this is just like when I fought back in Bellator, and I feel like I got screwed over by a split decision. And I'm like, like and then I went back to Taiwan one. My record was like 3-2 at the time. I was had that conversation with my coach. Remember, like about retiring, like not fighting anymore. I was like, listen, if I lose this fight, maybe that's it. Like I had a great run. I could always transition to a coaching position. And then something about me, I was like, dude, if I'm meant for this, I could pull out a win, like to be like completely honest, the exact words. I was like, I could pull a win out of my ass right now if I wanted to. Like if that's how good I really am, even like at a disadvantage. So heading into that fight, everything was good except for the injury that set me back. And I think the confidence factor too. So I couldn't really change levels and shoot as much in that fight. If you notice too, in the first round, at one point I slipped and it was like considered a knockdown, but even though he didn't land a punch, it was just my leg giving out. And then basically I got through the fight. It was close, but I thought I did enough to win like a decision unanimous, but apparently some judge gave him a little bit more because they favored the stand up and they didn't allow elbows over there. That like I found out like the day before.
Oh, really?
There's no elbows on the ground. He was like, no, because they're still trying to get into the major television networks and they don't want too much blood.
The
And
blood.
I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, but a spinning heel kick to the face is okay, but not a little elbow. You know what I mean? It's just weird. But I, despite all those odds, I came out of that fight actually. Like I won. And the minute I won, there's a lot of pressure off. And I was fine for the next couple months. But then I started going like, you know what? I need to get back to finishing fights. Like I need to fight how I actually feel. So even though I won that fight and it felt good to get my hand raised and feel how I actually feel like I should feel, which is like a winner, like winning. I was just like, man, I just don't think I put on the performance that I wanted to. And then next thing you know, PFL kind of reached out, stayed in touch. And then we were working out details on a contract. And then other organizations reached out and there was a lot of cool stuff happening. There's an organization in Italy. They even reached out. It was very random. One. And then they're like, what's your rate? And I'm like, I don't know. I've never been asked that from a promotion before. They're like, we want to get you out here to fight for some reason. And then next thing you know, I saw the best deal I had, which was with PFL. And then, that kind of led to where I am today, all these things happening, so it was really exciting. A lot of ups and downs, but honestly, like I asked for the position I'm in today and I wouldn't have gotten here or I wouldn't be able to get here if I wasn't challenged. The things that you ask for, you don't just get it. You're not, like you don't know if you can handle it or not. So you get pushed and challenged. And because of that, I kind of passed some of the tests, if you will, and now I'm here,
Well, yeah. So we're definitely going to talk about the PFL stuff because it's like super exciting. When I saw the post of that picture, I was like, what the hell is going on? This is awesome. But before we do that, we talked to Nick, and when you guys were in Taiwan, he was talking about how he had personally a really tough time with his weight cut, and he just remembers like he said he remembers like trying to cut weight. It's brutal for him. You're there with him. You guys are having to do a bunch of different obligations. Meanwhile, you're trying to cut weight. I didn't realize you also had an injury at that time. So it sounds like leading up into all that, it didn't seem that great. It didn't seem like a great time. And then both you guys, it was horrible. But both you guys came out of that pretty successful. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I
Nick
mean,
did a great job too.
He did great. I mean, honestly, it was a gamble because he only had about 6 months of training. I'm not kidding. He's never done martial arts before, right? So that was literally 6 months
soccer,
of training.
if I remember correctly.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Coaching soccer, like a freaking soccer coach. And he's never cut to 45s. I wasn't able to corner him because I'm fighting later that day. And also like I hope this doesn't come off like as arrogant, but like I didn't want to go there because that was the main event and I didn't want to go there and corner him. And people were like going to ask me, to do a bunch of like other stuff, like either photo, like it just, I'm not saying it's like I'm popular or anything, but it's like the main event, like you're there and then like they're there to see me fight. So I just didn't want to get too distracted or people, and I hate rejecting people, so that probably would have caved and done a bunch of interviews and photos. And then, so basically he won his fight, and I was just, it was awesome. He went through a lot of tough stuff too, getting into that fight. And he's right. During the weight cut, I didn't realize how many obligations I had. We did these YouTube series. We did a reporter that came and like fed us food and asked me which food to try. The thing is, I'm a day
While you're
before
cutting
win.
weight.
I'm a pro, but Nick is day up, so he was sitting there starving his ass
Oh
off, just
no.
looking at me cut weight. He's like, and then they all, they're very concerned, but they're not fighters. So these news reporters don't really know how to like deal with a fighter that's cutting weight. So they're like, Nick, you look so skinny. You should eat.
Oh
And Nick's
no.
just like dying inside. You know what I mean? Like he's like ready to snap. And I remember his parents even called him. And then they called him, and the first thing they said, like, Nick, you look so skinny. And he just got so, I think he might have hung up, or he was like, I got to go. And I was like, yeah, just go back to the hotel, the fighter hotel. I'll check in with you later. But, just make sure you don't do anything crazy. And he was just so agitated. So I was like, man, this is going to be tough. And this fight, this guy against him, it's, I might have rushed him too soon, even though like I might have been biased and thought I saw something in him, whereas it might have just been me, like making things up. And then he gets that third round knock, and I'm like, validation right there. It felt great.
That's so cool.
That was a cool
super
experience.
Cool. What is that like? Like a teammate of yours, and not just a teammate, but like someone that you're coaching and training, and he's fighting before you. Like they had how many fights on that event? It was like a ton
Like
of
45
fights.
or 40.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't remember exactly how long like in between his fight and your fight, but I feel like it was a decent amount of time.
Yeah.
Like, what is that? Is it? Are you trying to just like block out the outcome of that fight while it's happening, or up until that point, or like how does that affect you while you're waiting for your fight?
I think it definitely always helps when your teammate wins. It gives you a little bit of like motivation and pressure. Like, yeah, I gotta top that now. If you have a friendly competition, which is really healthy. Um, and if you lose, the same thing. It's like, man, I got to get this win back for our team now. Even though you fight
Yeah.
alone. So I think either or would have played out in my favor because I would have forced it to. Or perspective wise, I would have looked at it like that. But with Nick, I think it was just, it was honestly really proud. Like I was happy for him. I was like, man, you did great. Validation, he's not the first guy I've trained. I've kind of coached a couple fighters, and not everyone's trying to be a pro. Some of them just do it as a hobby, but they delve into it like they want to be a pro. So I did all the mistakes I made in the past. I kind of corrected it with him. He was kind of like the prototype, like the new, the next up and coming, like like the failed experiments. He's like the one that I got right.
He's the new method.
Yeah, exactly. So it worked out and it was good. And then I'm like, man, we need to work on this and this and this right away. In the past, we would win and we just celebrate, not really look at the losses or the mistakes we made, So we'd end up like losing the next fighter, So I'm like, hey, we got to stick to the script. You did great. Celebrate, enjoy. I made a mistake too back in the past where I had a student win and we didn't celebrate. We just kind of grinded it out and he got burnt out, you know what I mean? Or he got injured. So it's like, enjoy your wins because you might not be able to in the future. You never know when your next win is going to come. You never know what, not even just a win, but you never know when you're able to compete again. You know what I mean? Like what happens if COVID hits again or something similar? So count your blessings, enjoy your wins. And that's something I learned that I was kind of passing on to him because he would just try to go straight into another fight camp. He was like, yeah, let me go back and fight again. I'm like, dude, relax. You just got your first fight. Let your body rehydrate. First time you cut to 45, you look like a freaking zombie. Like get your health back. Enjoy the win with your family. You traveled all the way over here. You've been gone for a little bit. Enjoy some time with your girlfriend. All that stuff. So I definitely think it was nice for me to say that to him because also for me, it was a reminder. One of the best ways to learn is to teach. It sounds very paradoxical because people who usually teach have the knowledge, but it's funny because when you teach, you gain knowledge, so you would never assume that really unless you break it down, unless you're on the other end of the spectrum and just kind of look at it from that perspective, so I think it was really unique and it helped definitely, for me to push through the fight. I remember in between the rounds, I was kind of like, man, I can't just quit, I just can't, like my knees bothering me, but I can't really quit because if I do that, then, I never asked Nick to do anything I wouldn't do, you know what I mean? So I'm like, if I ever tell him to suck it up and like Greg Jackson said, hit him with your groin to GSP, then I better hit him with my groin, you know what I mean? Like, I better do something. So it was good.
Well, that actually leads, another question that we had was like, because I agree, like, and it's not just with fighting or anything like that, but in a lot of things, teaching somebody else something, you end up connecting a dot just by like explaining something. like out loud. You connect a dot that you might not have put together for yourself. What are some of the interesting things that you've had like click when you're teaching him that you didn't realize that you could implement yourself?
Um,
It doesn't have to be a
it's
specific like combo or
yeah.
something.
No, I get it. It's not necessarily a technique, right? Like it wasn't
Yeah.
actually a technique that you know what it was? It was honestly kind of like I remember when I was like him, so excited to MMA, new, like
Mhm.
you guys know how it is. Remember when you guys first got into MMA? Like everything's so new, so the possibilities are endless. And then when
Yeah.
you start kind of understanding the nature of the business, you start getting a little bit like, oh man, this ain't gonna happen, or that's not gonna happen. You start having to answer a little bit, and that's why they say ignorance is bliss sometimes.
Mhm.
And for me, instead of kind of like discouraging him, going, "Hey, dude, this is what's going to happen in the fight game." I let him experience it himself, but also I'm looking at it from his point of view, and I'm like, that motivation, it's kind of like a reignition, I guess, of a flame that I was like, man, I remember when I was like that, how exciting it must be for him. So imagine every time you get tired in training, imagine you guys do a hard workout, right? Every time you get tired, afterwards, you guys always go, when you recovered, you're like, man, I probably could have gave it more, huh? We always do that. So then for me, it's like, how about I have that mentality when I'm tired, So how about I have that
Mhm.
mentality when I'm getting burnt out and fighting or training? Like I got to, and then on top of that too, it's like you got to lead by example. I'm not the biggest fan of being a hypocrite, like hypocrisy. I'm sure I do it. I'm sure everyone does, but it's kind of like one of those like pet peeves of mine when someone says not to do something, they clearly do it themselves without good reason, right? So for me, I'm like, man, if I tell him he's got to do this and that, then I probably should do it too. So having someone that you got to constantly show, because he's around a lot. It's not like my like support or fans where they see me in public and I just get to have a 5 minute conversation with them and we're good.
Mhm.
It's like I see him all the time. So the way I act and everything, it's like it's not that I'm trying to be someone I'm not. It's actually I need to stay disciplined to who I actually am, because I feel like when you're not disciplined, you're becoming someone you're not. You know what I mean? So I don't
Mhm.
think you're changing to become someone else. I think you're change like the way you're changing is actually like you're falling off. That's the way I look at it. So I'm like with Nick, I'm like, I can't really fall off. You don't really have time to kind of like think negatively or talk down to yourself. You're like, I got to keep going because that's what he expects. So, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Keeps
kind
yourself
of like,
true. Yeah.
Man,
yeah.
it's the
So I feel
shadow
like
of the
that's
leader.
it.
It's the shadow of the
Yeah.
leader. No pun intended, because I know that's the nickname, right? The shadow. But it just goes to show your leadership capabilities, man, and the way that you approach martial arts, the way that you approach teaching. It says a lot about you. And just listening into you right now, man, it's super inspirational, right? Like to think here's somebody that's going through teaching martial arts. You're successful in what you're doing. You just signed with the PFL, right? You help train celebrities, some celebrities, and yet here you are on some days waking up, like you said, feeling like in your words, like a loser, right?
Yeah.
And for all the average Joes out there that wake up feeling the exact same way sometimes, and to see you be vulnerable and share that information, man, it's super awesome. So I would just have to ask you, what advice do you have for those folks that are waking up feeling that way? What are some of the things that you put in place, some of the best practices you have to turn that around?
Yeah. It's like, man, I wish there was an easy answer. It's almost like the same thing as like, how do I get stronger? You got to work out, like, how do I get mentally tougher? How do I work through the mindset of you being a loser is one with the opposite, which is positive thoughts, because feeding yourself negative thoughts is no different than you trying to get in shape and you just eat junk food. It's like,
Oh yeah.
you're just gonna, it's not going to be good. So for me, I'm like, how do I stay positive? How do I continue my mindset? How do I catch the dark thoughts or negative thoughts before it comes on? Or if it does come on, am I disciplined enough to, move away from that and not gravitate towards that? Because, it's like energy. It's not bro science here. This is actual,
Mhm.
physics. It's like you gravitate, towards certain objects that are heavy, right? Like there's gravitational pulls. When you have very negative thoughts and you're very like down on yourself, that's why we call it down on ourselves. You kind of like pull the negative energy
Mhm.
and you kind of like drift towards. I'm not saying you attract negative things. That's a whole nother, topic. But I mean like you yourself are actually dragging yourself down and your cortisol levels are imbalanced. You get sick and then just it's a cascade of effects. So how you try to counteract that is honestly to go through it. You kind of like, 2 years, man, like feeling like that 2 to 3 years, and I got to win this year finally, and I got to go back. I haven't even seen my parents for 3 years, so for me, I think it was like just constantly persistent. You have to stay consistent to what you do. The discipline of like reminding yourself every day, like I'm gonna get through this. Visualization really helped. I always thought that was kind of like a hocus pocus thing. Like it's like I don't know these guys that are like visual, like meditation or whatever. I'm like I don't know, and then I didn't realize. I'm like, man, I've been freaking doing this whole time. Like so I just got a car in May, right? And my mileage is 12,000. I have 12,000 miles on my car, and I just got a brand new car in May. And I'm just saying I drive a lot. So when I'm stuck in traffic, I don't realize I'm drifting off. Obviously, I'm a safe driver, right?
Yeah.
But I'm drifting off in my mind, in my headspace, where I can go on autopilot, but like my head is thinking about the victories, the hand raised, and then you could call it manifestation, but it's also like it keeps you afloat. It's like you're in the water, but you're keeping your head afloat until you could like find some sort of shelter. Someone gets you. Like you stay afloat long enough. And I think with that being said, it's also like everyone hates that feeling, but when you kind of find comfort in like being a loser, like I woke up and I'm like, man, being a loser, it's like it's okay right now. Like you kind of have to have an okay mentality. Not saying you're complacent, but it's like, yeah, this sucks. I can't really do anything about it right now. I'm like, what are my steps? Sleep, be positive, train so I could come back better and fight. Like you got to kind of believe in the process. And a lot of people tend not to believe in the process because I chatted with a lot of people with similar thoughts. So it's rough, but like honestly, you having a good group of like people chatting, and sometimes it's really interesting. It's always chatting with the people that have nothing to do with your life because there's no prejudgment, there's no whatever. It's just having a conversation with them, and it doesn't even have to be with someone that you don't know. You have a deep talk with. It's just like, hey, how you doing? Like what coffee you drinking, and then just kind of drifts off into another conversation where it was like nothing was about like Kai. Oh, you're an MMA fighter? How many fights have you had? Oh, you're on a 2-fight losing streak. How do you plan on bouncing back? What's training like? No, it's like none of that. It's like,
Yeah.
like, what are you watching? It's like, I watched this, I watched that. Oh, cool. The Ahsoka's coming out, and they're like, yeah, that's a great show. And I'm like, how do you like it? So, like random stuff, so it's that's my advice. I mean, it was a lot, but those are all things off the top of my head that I remembered. Those are all the good moments I had that kept me afloat. You know what I mean? All those advices were kind of like every day,
It's fantastic advice, man. And I'm sure a lot of people would be able to take a lot of what you just said right now and put it into practice every single day and come out better for it, man. So thank you for that. Another thing, just to kind of change direction here that you had mentioned, we talked about PFL already a little bit. I see the hat that you're sporting, the PFL hat, right?
See the shirt
Also
you're
the story the fight shirt.
Yep.
Yeah, but appreciate that. But man, PFL has been making some moves, becoming a serious player in the game, right? They come up with one of the largest free agent signings in the history of MMA with Francis Ngannou, right? Jake Paul getting involved in PFL. There's so much stuff going on right now with the PFL, right? In your mind, as you're going into the PFL here, what separates the PFL from some of the other organizations?
Well, the $1 million is obviously like the biggest difference. Their tournament format is very interesting too. So I think those are the most standout options. But also, like I was a fan of World Series of Fighting before, and the fact that
Hey.
they turned into um, PFL, I thought that was like a cool rebrand. And I've always been kind of like I don't want to say like a black sheep, but like all my siblings went to college. They're super smart, way smarter than me. But I never went through college. But then like I took a different route, which is the unorthodox method. And I feel like PFL has a lot of unorthodox methods because
Oh, that's
realistically,
cool.
like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
come on, guys, let's just put on fights. What is this whole seasonal thing, format and whatnot? But then you start thinking about it, you're like, that's interesting. Like you fight a certain amount of times and you have to look for a finish. The incentive is to get a finish because you get more points. You know what I mean? Granted, I'm not in a tournament or a season yet, but it's just the idea of potential bantamweight division being added. So I thought that was really cool. And then the guy I spoke with was Lauren. That was his name. And in the business, there's a lot of like fluff, you want to fluff things up and do this and that. But what I got from him was like, he was like, hey, here's the deal. There's no hidden agendas from me. This is exactly what I want. And I'm like, no way. You're direct. Like you're not like all the other guys that kind of like, sell you on this insane, like whatever. And it was just crazy, like crazy to kind of see him, just come at me like that. And I was like, cool, I'm in, I'm sold. And then it was
awesome.
the negotiation too wasn't even like the numbers that they threw at me wasn't even like a back and forth. It was just like, hey, well, this is why we think you're worth this much. This is why, we want to do things like this. This is why, are you interested in doing this? I'm like, hey, I want to, I want to pull you guys to Asia. Is that a possibility? And then they're like, sure, we're open to conversations. Which areas do you have access to? What can you do for us? And I just kind of laid all my cards out. They laid all their cards out. They took what they like, and then they said they didn't need this and that, and they just kind of negotiated from there. But it wasn't like no, I'm worth this much. So I was like,
this is my rate.
So I thought it was awesome. And then my manager Julian definitely helped out. He deals with all these other bigger guys. He handles Brian Ortega's contracts in the past. So I'm assuming he's seen it all. So it was pretty easy for him to just kind of help me navigate through the legality and stuff. But
shout out Julian.
Yeah, shout out Julian. So it was really cool. Yeah.
That is awesome.
That's awesome. And then there's, like you said, you're not in the tournament format yet, obviously, but what they're saying is that they're super close to buying PFL or to buying Bellator, right? And a couple days ago, they're like, that actually fell through, not happening. And then just yesterday, they're like, no, it's definitely happening any day now. And it's like, what's happening? And then Pitbull is saying he wants to go to the UFC and that it's definitely happening and all this stuff. But you look at Bellator's bantamweight division, and it's pretty sick. They got some talent there. So I would imagine at least, if they do purchase Bellator, they absorb some of those contracts. That's a tournament that it's just going to happen. They have such a cool roster. It would be cool to see you kind of in that mix. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's kind of funny because I fought for them, right, back in the day.
Yeah.
It didn't go my way, and it'd be hilarious, like kind of like ironic, that it's full circle now. They get absorbed by the promote. I'd love to right my wrongs. But with that being said, I see the same rumors that you guys see. I have a couple sources that I asked, and I hear the same things. It's like they're not buying it, and then they're just going to let it. There's another option that they said is they're going to let it dissolve, and whoever ends up being a free agent, they can pick what they want. But I would have thought that it would have been cool for PFL to absorb that organization and just kind of keep it separate and just run both. One's like you do really well in one, and then you in Bellator, and then if you are like a top 5, you get to move on to the PFL seasonal thing. You have to get a certain amount of wins.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Like I thought that was kind of cool, the idea, but I mean, that's just something I kind of made up, but like I was just asking people, but I leave that to, the guys that wear the suits and they make all the decisions. But, I love to speculate just like you guys. And I heard the same thing from like very legitimate sources. One guy was like, dude, they're out of the conversation. And then the exact similar source, another guy was like, dude, they sold. Like it's done. Like wait till you hear the announcement. And I'm like, all right, guys, stop playing with me. Like what is going on? I want to know. But yeah, I mean, what do you guys think? Like, do you guys think it would be better for them to absorb it or keep it separate or just say, nah, screw the deal? What do you guys think?
So I heard, I've heard a number of things, but the most recent thing I heard is that they're going to buy it. It's announcement imminent, all that stuff. And that they'll let Bellator continue until some of these bigger contracts drop off. And then PFL absorbs kind of who's left there. I could see that happening. I know they already announced Bellator 301, so that's definitely, at least until they're going to keep going. If I were the PFL and I was like playing this is like a video game and I'm in God mode and I can make whatever happen, you maybe let some of these big guys who are maybe close to the end of their contracts fight their contracts out, and then you absorb it like the UFC did with Strikeforce, and then I think I didn't even think about letting Bellator run as its thing, and then you pull guys out of that for the seasonal thing. That would be awesome. I think that's a great idea. I don't know logistically how doable that is, but it would be sick to watch. That's like, in my opinion, that's that's one of the things that's like really missing in MMA for me is Grand Prix and tournaments and things like that.
Yeah.
It's one of the coolest things in like MMA history for me, and it
Mhm.
sucks that there's a lot of organizations not doing that. So it would be cool to see some kind of, because like tournaments are so much larger than just like a fight here and there. It's so
Yeah,
like,
there's a storyline.
yeah, like I have the Shogun glove here signed because the 2005 Pride Grand Prix that he won was like, I mean, he fought Overeem and Arona, like that. It's just crazy. The whole run that he had was so crazy, and you just kind of don't get that anymore.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
get
so
it.
And
it would
I
be
look at
cool
it
to
from
see
the
that.
other side too, and I'm like, from a business standpoint, I'm almost thinking like if you let it dissolve, then you have the ability to just pick and choose a lot more, and you have somewhat more leverage. It sounds like as a business, when it comes to negotiating some of those contracts as folks are coming in, right? But for me, like a more fighter friendly thing would probably be just like you said, just purchasing, Bellator, and then just kind of doing something like what you had mentioned, that cross promotion thing, which I guess, I mean, if it's the same organization, is it really cross promotion? I don't know. But to, the fans, it would still seem like a cross promotion, because if you still have that Bellator name on there with the PFL, that'd be something that's pretty cool, but we'll see what happens, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
I
Either
think
way, I'm
too.
excited.
Yeah, I'm so excited. This type of stuff is so good for MMA in general. Like
Mhm.
at large, that there's like big players out there competing with the UFC, and like people are starting to realize that, and a lot more people are watching other organizations and not just the
Yeah.
UFC.
Yes.
Like, man, it would be so cool. Like you said, Ramiro, if they let the contracts expire, and then it's like we can pick and choose who we want to negotiate with. Like you said, that $1 million that PFL is at the end of the tunnel. People might think, oh, the UFC will just get all the good guys. I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think PFL would be a top pick for a lot of those guys.
Yep. I agree.
Love it. All right. Well,
$1
Will,
million is big.
that $1 million is big. I mean, that's all I had. Will, did you have anything else?
We got a little game, right?
Yeah, if you don't mind, Kai. Last time we had a little game with you, right? We went over superheroes, had a little battle. If you don't mind,
Just
we would
talking about
love to
Grand
have
Prix.
another. Yeah, we'd love to have another game with you if you're up for it.
Let's do it.
All right, so this time we're moving away from the superheroes, and we're thinking about like, man, what can we do with Kai that we would enjoy, that he would enjoy? And we thought about like Kai the Shadow Wu. That's one of the best nicknames out in the fight game right now. So what if we put Kai up to the test? We put a nickname up there to see if he can name that fighter. What do you think?
Oh shit. Okay.
Okay. All right.
I
Will.
think I'd be good at this.
All right.
So
Will.
we'll do. Do we want to do a rating, like a 1 through 10 rating on the nickname, and then guess who it is, or do we want to
Sure.
just guess?
Whatever you guys think, I'll play by your guys' rules.
We could do a rating. Then after we give the rating, we name that fighter, and then after that, I mean, we can end it. But Will, I just realized right now I don't have the final list that we put out, so you can go ahead and just you can just go ahead and handle this side, go through, name off all the nicknames, and then I'll just hop in here and there along with Kai. How does that sound?
Okay, yeah. I mean, you'll see him too when we put him up.
Yeah, should be fun. All right.
Rich, you got the slideshow?
We don't have any like game show music or anything like that. Maybe next
That'd be
next
cool.
time, we'll like kick it off. All right. And then
all right, we're gonna start probably a little easier. It's gonna get difficult. Some of these, if you could get all of these, it'd be very impressive.
Yeah.
So obviously we're gonna start somewhat easier. We'll go with the Iceman.
Okay. That's you want rating first or name first?
Let's go rating and then name.
yeah.
Okay. Rating, man, in the prime of his days, it was like 9. I think I get out of 10 or out of 100. Which one do you guys want?
Out of 10.
Let's go 10, but you can do decimals if you want. If you want to get real fine.
There we go.
I gotta say 9. I gotta say like 8.9 to 9, and here's why. It's kind of hard for me to justify when he lost to Keith Jardine, and you look at Keith Jardine's record. It was like, how did you lose to that guy? Like it just. I'm not saying he probably didn't overestimate him or underestimate him, right? Or like overtrain some kind of injury. But I just thought that was a really interesting, like you lose to that guy. But and then the tail end of his career was a little bit tougher, And he looked spectacular against Rich Franklin. But it's just, man, it's like I think as a fighter too, you have to know when to kind of like hang him up. But yeah, I got to give him like 8.9. I mean, he's a legend, but in terms of overall skill and the fights that he won and lost, I don't know, 8.9. I don't want to be, I don't want to sound disrespectful, but just, I think ultimately, I mean, the problem with that is he started it all. You know what I mean? I don't think it'd be MMA without Chuck, so.
Ooh.
Oh,
so do
well,
we
there
have
it
a
is.
guess on who this might
Chuck
be?
Liddell. Yeah, Chuck Liddell.
Awesome.
Got the reveal, Rich. Oh,
the reveal
with the shorts, with
You
the
have the
shorts,
reveal.
man.
So badass.
Look, man,
Like, yeah.
the nickname's great, and the fact I miss the shorts.
I know.
Having
I know.
custom
I
shorts
agree.
is just, man.
I was
And
a
then
little
Tito
sad
had the
that,
flames.
PFL have like a fit, like actual fight kit shorts, as opposed to wearing your own. But they don't look too bad. So
Yeah, they do look good.
On, so.
Hey, so we're off to a great start. We're off to a great start. He gave what I felt was a solid score. He names the fighter. He gives us a little bit of the history. I mean, come on.
So are we gonna rate the fighter or rate the nickname?
Let's rate the nickname. Let's go with the nickname. That way,
if
we keep
the nickname that I think it's iconic. It's got to be like a freaking 10, then. You know what I mean?
Oh, I like it.
Solid
if not the fight, if we're rating the nickname, it's got to be a 10. That is like, dude, that's cold. No pun intended.
No,
seems intended.
I think that rating the nickname is fair too. Like we don't want to disrespect any of the fighters or anything like that. But the nickname,
true.
Let's have at it. Let's rate the nickname. You know what I mean? Nothing
Yeah,
to
let's do it.
All right, there we go. All right, what's the next one, Will?
Oh man,
this
is iconic.
We're starting a little easier, right?
All right. That one. I mean, there's only one. Like I got to give it a 10. I got to give it a 10. I mean, like, how could you not like that? I don't even know. Like, how do you even put a rating or like? There's like I don't even want to say anything other than just 10. Anderson Silva 10. Like
there we go.
Can't touch that guy. Oh, look, dude, that's nasty, dude. Look, do you guys remember that? Like the first.
Oh my god!
Dude,
I thought Vitor is the guy. He's the one that's gonna beat Anderson. He's the one that's gonna end his reign, and then he front kicks him, and I was like, "What is happening?"
And he like Vitor was like on the stuff. You know what I mean? Back in the day, like that was still kind of like going towards the tail end of his prime days, but that was like the Vitor that almost armbarred John, Jones.
Yeah,
Like, that was still like
broke his arm.
Time. So it's like
I don't think that was TRT Vitor. That was TRT Cocktail Vitor. There's a lot going on there. But look at the way that Anderson's looking at him in this picture. He's staring into his soul as he kicks.
That's cold, man.
The soul out.
That's like that's the venom from the spider. He just freezes you up. Dude. That's so
come on.
I love it.
Man.
2 for 2.
2 for 2. Look at Yamasaki back there too. Just not even caring.
He said, just let him die.
Let him die.
Like a couple more. He's still on his feet. He's still conscious.
Yeah. What's crazy is what you were talking about when, like, you guys remember when you got into MMA and stuff, you thought anything was possible. I didn't think a front kick knockdown like that was possible. I didn't think that was in the cards.
No one was pulling that off,
No. That's Sensei Seagal, taught him that move.
Yeah, thanks to Seagal. I love it. All right, what's next?
Oh,
got the California Kid.
I think it's a unique nickname to the Uriah Faber, like himself. Like I think it's unique to himself. He definitely started the MMA scene in California. I kind of think it fits. The only problem with the nickname Kid is when you get older, it's kind of like, like what are you, the California man now? And then like after you like, like
the
middle-aged
California man.
Like I don't know. It's just the kid. The problem with Kid is just like that. Like it just fits for a certain time. Obviously, I know like we're trying to remember him at his legacy, but I think it's a cool nickname. I got to give it a solid 9. I think it was really iconic for him. It suits him. I don't think anyone else could ever just take that. Like someone could try to take the Spider,
Yeah.
I think because that's kind of more like no one could take Iceman, no one could take California Kid. Someone could try to take Spider and do their own thing. What's his name actually? No, they call him the Tarantula. Sorry, Jalen Turner. But I was
Yeah.
just saying, like, ideally someone with that kind of longer body type. You could always call them the Spider, but California Kid fits him 9. There you go.
Solid. One of
Great
Romero's
stuff.
favorite fighters of all time.
One of my favorite fighters of all time. I think McGregor said it best when he said you look like a 50-year-old retired surfer. I think he told him on Tough. But to your point,
In
the California
flip-flops.
Kid, even the California Kid has to age, right? So, but
Yeah.
yes, iconic nickname. All right, Rich.
Wonder Boy.
Yeah, I mean I'm a comic book fan, so I cannot, like that Wonder Boy. It's like perfect, flashy style. Stephen Thompson, like, man, 9.5. Yeah, that's pretty unique. I mean, not just unique. It's a pretty general name, but it's like the way it fits him. Because some guys have these like nicknames that just don't fit the guy. Like or like their names just call like the Warrior or the Beast. It's like, come on, dude. Like like we feel all that. But Wonder Boy is pretty general, but it fits him almost like perfect. Like he has a persona. Like man, that's it. That's him. Put a cape on it. Man, he looks good. He looks like his freaking superhero. Nice
Yeah,
guy.
and then
How can you not like the guy? 9.5 is the rating I'd give his nickname, but yeah.
9.5.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it's always good when you can take a nickname and you can incorporate it with your walkout too.
Yes,
He's got
I
the
was
Wonder
just
Boy,
gonna say.
Tenacious
Yeah.
D. Come on.
I know.
It's
I
so
mean, even
good.
Uriah Faber, you had California Love, that he
Yeah.
walked out to Wonder
Which
Boy with
he
Wonder
did try to
Boy.
change that, by the way. Uriah Faber tried to
Really?
change
What
that,
did
and
he
the
try to
UFC
change it
would
to?
not let him.
Really?
What
No
was that?
way.
Yeah, he tried, and the UFC was like,
Do you know what
sorry,
he tried
bud,
to change it
that's your
to?
walkout. I don't think he said. I don't think he ever said. I
Huh.
could be
Well,
wrong
I'm
on that,
glad the
though.
UFC didn't let him change it because that would have been a terrible decision.
Yeah.
The walkout songs always reminds me of was it Roy McDonald that they didn't have the right phone number for him, so they'd reach out to just some guy and ask what the walkout song's gonna be, so he just never knew what his walkout song was gonna be.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
That's pretty funny.
Never figured it out. All right, what's next,
Yeah.
Rich?
Another classic.
Oh man, yeah. And then you did the hand thing, Vanderlei Silva.
Yes.
Man, that's a good nickname too. Oh man, I got to give that like it's. I don't think you could find another guy similar to him. Yeah, it got to be like 9.7. OG, he's OG.
OG.
Okay. Oh, what a picture! Look at that.
Man.
Not
But
only did the
9.7.
nickname fit him, but he also did that hand thing. It's like just
Yeah.
like if man, it's good. It's a little brutal for my taste. That's why I give it a 9.7. It's like the axe murder. Oh geez, it's like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's
Yeah.
like same level. I'm not into those kind of movies, so that's why I give it like a 9.7. Otherwise, it would have been a 10 if I was like a gore fan or whatever.
You're not into the slasher flicks?
Not really, because they're not that scary because I could fight. You know what I mean? Like if the Texas Chainsaw Massacre ever ran up on me, it's like a blast double. When he lifts his chainsaw up, he's falling on his chainsaw, or like just the jab, the head move. I'd love to test that out against him. Or like the Saw Kid. You know what I mean? Like just heel hook that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Eminari rolled the heel hook. Like, he's got nothing.
You don't think Jason can take a leg kick?
Dude, not even a leg kick. It's calf kicks, man. He's done,
Yeah.
dude. He's done.
I think that the best part is that you're able to explain how you would take these serial killers down. Like you've thought about this before. Like you're watching the movie, you're like, oh, this is
sure.
easy.
I've seen these movies because I like as friends and we go out and we watched it. Like specifically Scream, whenever he lifts his hand up, that's like such a huge telegraph. You could like land a check hook off his right. He's a righty too, so like the minute he lifts that up, you straight arm his like what do you call it? His arm, or whatever. Like just you get rid of his right arm, he's done. Left body kick, something like that. I don't know. I have thought about it. And he has a
I never
mask
thought
on,
about
too.
that. He doesn't seem very ambidextrous. You're right. He's always going with the right
It's
hand.
always right-handed. There's very few scenes where you see he's left-handed, and he seems like he's very quiet, but he doesn't seem that explosive in terms of like he's not like explosive. It's just surprise. Just always surprise. he has decent cardio. Anyone with decent cardio does not have great explosiveness. You know what I mean? Because he's always like
Mike
chasing
Myers.
movement. You know what I mean? So it's not like he's got it like athletically speaking, his explosiveness isn't that great. So it's like you get him out of there in the first round, like first 30 seconds, just go for it. Otherwise, you're gonna have a hard time because he's a gas tank.
Mike Myers, super strength, but also can walk 20 miles no stop.
He's Yoel Romero, dude. He's Yoel Romero.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
He just takes the first couple rounds off.
This is next episode. Is he needs to break down how to beat.
Yeah, the game plan against each.
Yeah. Oh, I got it. I
love it. All right,
man, you got a little bit of problems on your hands because, like, what are you gonna do? Like, how you gonna hit them? That's the problem. So that's why those movies I'm a little bit more interested in because it's mystical. Whereas you get like, these guys, it's like, oh, come on, man, come on. Freddy Krueger, dude, you're done if I start drinking some Celsius or 5 hour. You're done. You know what I mean? Like,
you don't think
in my dream, I'm drinking that. So I don't know.
You don't think Freddy Krueger, when you have a dream and you're trying to throw a punch and you just like your arms don't work? You don't think that's what you try to jab them and then all of a sudden your hand is like a pillow?
It used to be like that until I got into altercations in real life, and I'm like, oh man, this is weirder than I thought. So in my dreams, it started translating to like I'm brutally finishing these guys.
Dude, I love it. I love it. All right, what's the next one, Rich?
The Bronx.
Oh, that's good. I don't even know what it means. What does that even mean?
From the Bronx, and it translates to more than anything from the favelas. So if you're from a favela in Brazil, they say you're the Bronx, from the Bronx, from the favelas.
That's pretty sick.
I think that's super hard. Like, honestly, for him too. And I want the version of him where he's bleached his hair. I want that version. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That's what I think of when you say his name, Charles Oliveira. Man, this is like a really hard nickname. Like, I got to give it like a 9.7 as well. It's just, I didn't understand what it meant, but it's like, now that I even know, it's like even better than I thought. Yeah, that's the one.
There's the bleached.
Yeah, the bleached. Yeah, I don't know if it's bleached or gold, but that's the one.
The bleached teeth. Look at how white his teeth are. The pearly white.
Seriously. Are we sure with the favelas with those teeth?
Are you sure?
Oh, dude. But when you make a few or have a few title fights, maybe you can
that's true.
Get that done.
How do you have that smile after getting rocked like almost every one of your fights coming back?
It's crazy. It's the strategy. It's nuts. And I love the fact that the entire team bleaches their hair too. Like on the bottom left corner of the picture, you see that the bleach hair too from his cornerman. So,
I noticed that. I'm like, what great team camaraderie. That's all. That's a great team right there.
So, Will, is this 6 for 6 right now? Are we 6 for 6, 5 for 5? What is this?
I'm not keeping score. But it's a sweep so far.
Okay, and so far 9.7 for the Bronx, right? I know that we gave a 10 to the legend Iceman. So it seems like we're paying homage to the legends here and giving them a little bit of a higher score. 9.7 is tied with, who was it? Who else did he give a 9.7 to? I hope Rich is keeping score.
Yeah, we told Rich before this. We totally told him before this to keep score on this.
I hope he's doing it. All right, what's the next one, Rich?
Okay.
Crippler. A little more niche, a little trickier.
I think it's good. I mean, Chris Lieben, right? That's who we got. He was a referee at one of my fights actually in San Diego. I thought he was always one of those like dark horses of the division, like always going to be ranked number 5 and above, like top 10, 10 through 5. If you beat him, you're probably one fight away from a title shot, or you are going to get a title shot. And it's either he sleeps you or you sleep him, kind of, like there's no in between. He's a savage, the Crippler. That's sick. And he always had his fingernails kind of painted black, and it's like the Grim Reaper type style. I liked it. I got to give that one like an 8.7. It's really good. I think it's really good. I think there could always be another one though. You know what I'm saying? Like get like if Robbie Lawler wasn't like the Ruthless, he could have been the Crippler, 2.
Yeah, true.
Ruthless. Robbie, why didn't we? We should have put him on the list too. That's a solid one. That's a solid one.
Chris Leben was my favorite fighter for a long time, especially growing up. He was my favorite just because like you just go into zombie mode, right, and just throw bombs with people.
Yeah.
His early nickname before the Crippler was the Cat Smasher. Which one's better?
Well,
I'm gonna act like I didn't hear that.
on Tough One. On the first season of Ultimate Fighter, that's what he was telling everybody. It's so
just
funny.
Gonna keep it to no. That doesn't need to be brought up. It's just the
Crippler. We'll keep it with the Crippler. By the way, also, old friend of the podcast hopped on a while back, right? So, shout out to the Crippler. All right, what's next, Rich?
Cupcake.
Okay, Misha Tate.
Oh man, he's good.
I hope you guys got some harder ones because
they'll get harder.
Misha Tate. I mean, I didn't understand the nickname Cupcake. I'm not a big Cupcake fan myself, but I guess it kind of fit her demeanor for a while. I just don't get the Cupcake nickname. I'm gonna go with the 8.5. I liked her as a fighter, though. By the way, she was cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
She come from behind against Holly Holm. I was literally like,
crazy.
"Oh, this fight's probably done," and then she gets it out of nowhere, and like I spill my drink on my couch. You know, like a knockout when it happens, you freak out, but when it's a submission, you start grabbing onto your friend or like whoever.
Yeah.
You're like, dude, no, is she gonna get it? And you can never tell with the angle. So, but I thought that was cool. But 8.5 for a nickname, I don't see the relativity or relationship.
That's fair. You know, and
that's
Cupcake,
fair.
I get it. It's a dessert. Like, what are we doing? Bringing it into the fight game. I still pick this over Carlos Esparza, the Cookie Monster. I will still take Cupcake over Cookie Monster, but that's just me. All right, Rich. What else do we have?
Remember the name.
Oh, hold on. This is actually a good one.
We were hoping, just because of what it is, we were hoping that you weren't going to be able to get this one, just because it would be that much funnier.
Oh, he's having a hard time with it.
I am having a hard time with it because this guy changed his nickname originally to this. I think like there was a change, but oh man, I think you guys stumped me with this one. I'm blanking on his name.
It worked out perfectly, Will, with a nickname that says "Remember the name." We don't remember the name. That would be you. Want to say, Will?
Bilal Muhammad.
That's what it was.
Don't worry. Dana also forgot his name and gave a title shot to Colby Covington over him.
I'm gonna say 0 because
0. Ineffective.
If it was like they should have called him like something like I don't know, anything other than remember the name.
Anything other than.
Because I really didn't remember it until just now. He did have a different nickname though. I think before that.
I wouldn't be surprised. He might have changed his nickname to this because nobody could remember who he was.
And it's still.
And I mean that with no disrespect.
Yeah. Let's. Yeah. 0 funny. For the name. Great fight against Gilbert Burns. Really good grappler. Really like watching his fights.
Yeah. High octane the entire time, high pressure.
Very
large
skilled.
gas tank. So yeah, very skilled.
And absolutely deserves the title shot over Colby in this situation.
Thick ass legs too. Like they look like you could really tell he trained with Khabib and all that stuff because he looked in different shape after that.
By the way, hilarious. I don't know if you've seen the video where he dresses his buddy up like a sultan, and he goes around to different fighters to see how many fighters he can get to kiss his buddy's hand that isn't royalty at all, but he just tells them that. Hilarious. It's a funny YouTube video.
Hilarious.
All right. What's next, Rich? Good. It's hilarious.
A classic.
Yoshihiro Akiyama. Yes. That's a good nickname for him. And the way he looks and then how he's been. Like, look at that, man.
Come on. What a good fit.
Dude, that's a superhero right there. I got to give it like a 9.3. It's iconic. It fits him. It's great. Probably can't. I mean, I don't think anyone's ever going to use it. Maybe his son, if he has a son that fights,
Sexy Yama Jr.?
Yeah. Or 2.0 or something like that.
I like it.
So yeah, I definitely like it. 9.2, 9.3, one of those. I think it's good. It's iconic.
Will, how old is he in this picture, Will?
I mean, he's got to be. I mean, How old
Your
is he
boy is
now? I mean,
bodied up there, and
and he
What,
just
he's
had
like
he just
38?
won that fight recently, like a year
He's got
ago
to be in the
against
40s now, no?
48,
he's got to be
Oh,
48.
jeez.
Holy
and he just
smokes!
beat Aoki, Shinya Aoki, not that
Yeah.
long ago. It
Good
was a cool
genetics.
fight.
Yeah, for 48, he's
Some would
looking
say the
fantastic.
best. Some would say
I
the
hope
best
I'm looking even half as good as this guy by the time I'm 40.
Seriously.
Jeez.
Seriously.
Dude, I
Yeah.
don't look half as good as him now. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Hey, hence the name Sexyama. But
Yeah.
another one for Kai Wu here. I believe we've only missed one, which was Remember the Name. Ironic
Yeah.
enough. So let's move on, Rich. What's the next one?
Big
Roy
country.
Nelson.
Oh,
Right away.
right off the bat. I love
That's
it.
good. That's a 8.7. Great nickname. Honestly, I loved it. I don't think he gets as much respect as he deserves. He was good, and he did kung fu as his background or whatever, and he was a
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu guy too. So it's just so random, like I don't know. I liked him. I really did. I didn't expect him to knock out Brendan Schaub the way he did. Honestly, like I
That was
just was like,
crazy.
holy crap! And he's got a nasty right hand. Good for him. I hope he's doing good. I haven't heard much from him, like fight news from
Jiu-jitsu
him.
black belt, but then found out that he has a bomb for a right hand,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And just fell in love with knocking people out. You
Yeah.
talk about the nickname just fitting somebody's personality.
Yep.
When he'd win and he'd jump on top of the cage and rub his belly,
Rub
I was
his
like,
belly,
oh,
yeah.
dude, I love the guy.
Big
Awesome.
country, yeah. What a great nickname, yeah.
Honestly, I'm closer looking more like him than Sexyama right now, so it's all good. So I respect Big
Hey, if
Country.
you got that power, sure.
All right, Rich, what's next?
Oh, Andre Touchy-Feely. I think that's a super inappropriate nickname, and it's hilarious. I think it's great. I give that like a 9.1. It's super. It's like, man, like what a fun way to. It's like Nick Ring. His nickname is the Promise. It's like,
Yeah.
It's like that's a good, play on your name. I liked it. So I think it's cool.
Yeah, anytime you can incorporate either your first or your last name in with your nickname, I feel like that automatically elevates it a little bit higher.
Exactly.
That's a good one.
Yeah, definitely for how clever it is. Absolutely. I agree with the score. That's a good one. What's next, Rich?
We might have brought him up earlier.
Yeah,
the Dean
Keith
of Mean.
Jardine. That's a good one. You know what? That's kind of lame, but it's good. You know what I mean? Like it fit the era. The Dean of Mean. He's doing some Hollywood movies now. That beard, beard right there. I got to give that a solid 9, man. He beat some guys. He skill wise he shouldn't have. His record didn't look great, but man, he was tricky. You know what I mean? Like he got some wins that like no one would have ever expected, and he was tough. He was durable. He's out of Greg Jackson's, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Old school,
He's like a part of that old school, like that tier 1. Like if there's an Avengers for Greg Jackson, I think it's got to be Rashad, right? It's got to be Keith. I think, yeah, he was pretty cool to watch. He wasn't super fast. That's what was weird. He wasn't super great at anything, but he would like find a way to win. And I think that's what was most impressive about him.
Well, in that time, there was a shift that happened kind of right after him where it became much more about like these are now athletes who are fighting, but
instead of just tough guys,
he was a fighter. He was just a fighter.
It's weird.
See, you have like the Dean of Mean, but when you say the Dean of Mean, Keith Jardine, come on, right?
Music to my ears. I love it. It's good.
It's so good.
9.
So
you
good.
Can't hate on this guy, man. This guy was good. He showed up to fight every time.
For sure.
The Fireball Kid.
Takanori Gomi. Yes. Man, I remember his Nick Diaz fight. He was.
Oh man.
That was exciting. He was a badass, like a southpaw, slugging it out. One of the few fighters, I think, back out of the days in Japan where he was just a slugger. Like he had really good hands.
Mm-hmm.
I think most of the Japanese fighters back in the day were, really good grapplers. That's what they're known for. But he was like one of the few where he was just like lighting people up, like one hit, KO power. And I'm like, dude, where's this guy coming from? And he had a real understanding of boxing. His fight against Nate Diaz, where he kind of got pieced up, but it's like, I don't know what it is about this guy. He just never got knocked out clean. He just had a chin on him. You know what I mean? He just kind of
Yeah.
like lay there, take it, get punch, 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 and somehow not get brutally knocked out. He just get like subbed or something. I'm like, how you doing that? You know, it was pretty cool. But I think the Fireball kid. No, I think it was cool, like attaching the Fireball kid to his nickname, like attaching it to his name. But in terms of just where it stands alone, it's like I don't like. Are you trying to say he's like a fireball? Are you trying to say he's fast like one? I don't know. I thought it was like an okay nickname, but it was only cool because he made it cool. You know what I mean? You could take
Ooh,
that
yeah.
nickname and give it to some other Japanese fighter. I don't think it would. I don't think it's as cool. So I definitely think it lives more up to him. So it's in terms of just a pure like nickname, I thought it was like okay, like 8.2, 8.3.
Okay.
8.2, 8.3.
But
Would that be the lowest score we've gotten so far?
I think so. I think Cupcake was
Yeah.
8.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think his nickname got cooler to me when after the Nick Diaz fight, there's that interview of him like in the hotel, and Nick is like, "Yeah, that fucker tried to hit me with the Shoryuken or something," and it's like, Fireball Kid, nice.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that's pretty good. But I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's only cool because it's him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For sure. All right. Next one, Rich.
Beastin 25-8.
His reaction. By the way, your reaction right now was the exact same reaction I had when Will mentioned this one. I was like, wait, what?
I have no idea who this is. I've heard of the nickname before, but it's a more. I know it's a more recent fighter. He probably still actively fights. I
And
know
he has
that.
changed. He has changed his nickname. It is no longer Beastin 25-8. I'll give you what it is now, and
Yeah,
as a
what is
hint,
it now?
it is now Overtime.
Okay. Um, welterweight fighter or middleweight fighter? One or the other? No. I'll concede and accept defeat on this one.
This was Corey Anderson. Used
Oh,
to be
okay,
Beastin
okay.
25-8 back when he
Got
was in the
it. Got
UFC.
Because he's not doing it 24/7. He's doing it 25/8.
it. I guess he's
One of
doing it so much now, it's considered overtime.
It's Overtime.
It's the evolution of
Yeah.
Beast 25/8.
I
Oh,
hope
I
he's
love
getting
it.
paid like overtime in Bellator. You know what I mean?
I hope so, man. I hope so. What's the
That's
next
so
one, Rich?
funny, dude.
That is a good one.
Superboy.
Doohoo Choi, right?
Solid.
Solid.
I think I saw dude. Oh, by the way, I got to give that overtime nickname a rating, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's working extremely hard, I think, and it's working so hard that I couldn't even remember it. But not even the nickname. It was 25/8, right?
Yeah.
Beast 25/8.
Beast 25/8.
I got to give that like a 3.
Three.
It's just like, dude, what? Like the math doesn't add up. I get it's a clever way of saying like 24/7, but like to go from 20 Beastin 25/8 to overtime, it's like what? I feel like a nickname's got to be either super clever, super funny, but when it feels like you're kind of trying, to be cool or something like
Yeah.
that, it's like a little bit of a try hard.
That's a fair
factor.
score. I feel like that's
Bruce
a fair score.
Buffer had to announce that multiple times.
Yeah, and I know Bruce Buffer's probably like, damn it,
Yeah, what the hell?
I gotta say this. But yeah, Doohoo Choi, I saw his fight live against
Ooh.
Cub Swanson, and
No
that was
way.
the
Man.
greatest fight I've ever seen. It was in Toronto. Max Holloway fought Anthony Pettis that night, and
Wow,
when I
that
say
fight was
that fight
insane.
between them two was nuts, I'm talking about like I had popcorn and I had nachos and I had I think it was iced tea, and I dumped my popcorn to the person next to me on accident, or the guy in front of me. It was my friend that was sitting next to me. There was no one on my right. It was like an aisle, and then I turn around. I see the guy behind me. I high five him in the middle of the knockdown, and I'm like, "This is nuts!" And I turn back around, and as I turn back around, I knock my nachos over. And then the guy behind me literally just took his jacket off and just kept watching the fight. Like he didn't care. Like no one cared about it. Drinks were being
That's how good it
thrown.
was.
Someone had a beer they're drinking in their hand, and they chucked it when Du Choi came back from the knockdown, and no one gave a damn about anything. And then when the fight was over, I remembered everyone literally had to like get on their phone and just kind of like cool down for a minute.
Yeah.
They're like, dude, what was that? I remember after that fight, some guy like he was literally like, dude, I'm gonna pass out, man. He was like sitting there like unbuttoning his shirt because it was so
intense
crazy in there, and it was so loud that I remember the cup holder with my iced tea in there, the water was vibrating, or the ice was vibrating because
Jurassic Park style.
Dude, exactly. And it was just freaking awesome. So that's one of the few fights. I think it was in 2017. I will forever remember as the greatest fight of all time because the way he was eating shots. And then the way he'd kind of get back up and throw his right hand and hurt Cub a little bit, it was just a good back and forth. And I was like, man, that was so cool. So Superboy, I think it fits him to 8.7.
8.7. Yeah. It rolls out the tongue well, right? Superboy Choi.
Superboy Choi.
Yeah, exactly. It was good.
By the way, Will, another fight for Rich to add on to his list.
Yeah, that imaginary list of fights to watch.
Dude, yes. It's so epic.
Hall of Fame, right? It's a Hall of Fame fight. They put it in.
It has to be. Sure. Like, it's got to be top 15 greatest fights of all time.
Yeah.
Yep. Rich, on your list for sure, Rich. All right, what's the next one?
El Guapo.
Boss Rutan.
Boss Rutan.
He's a legend. Nickname? I think, again, it's like the Fireball Kid. I think it's only good because of Boss Rutan. But in terms of, like, the name, it's like it's like a 5. It's like the most mediocre. I feel like that's like the original Warrior. You know what I mean? Like like one of those. Like I just I love Boss Rutan's sound effects. I love his energy. You know, he was awesome to watch.
Bang, bang, bang.
Don't you so ever good. Do this. He's like shaking the guy's head.
Yeah, he was cool. And then the jumping, doing the splits, you know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah,
that was
to each,
cool.
Each direction,
he's cool,
right?
But just the nickname, I don't know. It's not very.
Could have been better.
I mean, in case you haven't noticed, everything he does now, it's all Boss Rutan. It's never his nickname. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
I think he even outgrew it. You know, so.
Yeah. So far, I think Beast in 25-8 is the one that's coming out the loser, huh?
I'm sure you could even do a poll, and that would probably be the worst, unless.
That's not a bad idea. I don't know. We could do some polls.
Maybe wait until you see this next one, because it's a doozy.
What? Okay, what in the world is this? It can't be an active fighter, is it?
I bet he wishes it could have been.
Yeah, I don't know who this is. Who the heck is this?
This is the James Krause.
Shut up. His nickname was the?
Yeah.
He just went by the James Krause, yeah.
It wasn't like hybrid or something like that, or like I don't know.
It might have been at some point, but it definitely ended up the.
Dude, I mean, I guess his new nickname might be like the end, you know, because like right now, like, with everything going on, it's like shoot, like that's a good nickname to describe like the way his whole thing kind of went down. Because like you know, like we don't know. Yeah. It's like the investigation. Like
the investigation.
Like, I mean, I don't know anything about really what happened other than like I'm assuming there was some insider betting information that he ran and he made money off it. I don't know. Betting is always one of those things. It's like I don't really. That's why I've never done a bet, you know, on the show tonight and get free $5. I've gotten approached by a couple, but I don't pay attention to that. I'm not saying I don't bet myself, but I don't do sports betting because it just. I'd rather go give my money away to a freaking slot machine. You know what I mean? Like, at least I get some kind of enjoyment out of it. I'm playing. I can sit on there for like an hour or two. I get some wins. I get some losses. Whereas sports betting, I don't really get the like horse. I don't know, like
horse races and stuff.
Like this horse has won. I'm ignorant to that stuff, so I don't know. But like, if this horse has won like 80% of the time, why wouldn't you just bet on him? You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe could have had an off day. But like fight betting, like I've thought about it because I was like, you know what? I think I think Pereira was going to get knocked out because he was going to overpressure in that second Adesanya fight. And then Volkanovski, I was like, I think he's going to get a late third round knockout. I even put that up on Threads because Engage, his clothing brand, did it like a poll. And I was like, late third round, I think he's going to get a knockout, like a finish, or early fourth. And then it turned out to be right, But I'm like, man, if I would have betted on that, and I don't know the math, but I was like, man, if I would have just put like $500, how much would I have gotten back? You know what I mean?
sound like Will right now. That's what Will does. Like every recap episode, he's like, man, if I would have just put down, X amount, he starts doing the math.
Yeah, there's certain fights I don't like to bet on, like the Adesanya versus Sean. I was like, that's a weird fight. Like, I kind of like was talking to Nick about it. I was like, this is a weird fight. I don't know. It's either one sided or Sean makes the fight so dirty that it becomes like an awkward fight, which it kind of was. So I don't know. Sorry, I don't mean to get off topic. This guy, I honestly got to give it a 0. Like it can't be any worse than the. Like what is the? You know what I mean? Like what kind of nickname is that? There's no.
He's the James Krause.
I'm not. I'm not good at English. Like I didn't go to college, so it's like, what is the? Like is that like an adjective, a description? You know what I mean? Like what is? It's like what? How's that a nickname?
I think he's trying to figure life out right now. Honestly.
Yeah. Why do you have to find that photo of him too? Why
It's
of him in action. That was rough. Jeez, that's rough. Man, that's tough.
Man. What's the next one, Rich?
Uncle Creepy.
Ian
McCall.
I gotta give that nickname like a 3. Like I don't know.
That's cool.
He's cool. Like I don't know why you chose like that. I mean, I guess that nickname was kind of funny or whatever, but it's like, I don't know. It didn't really. I don't know. It just never really stuck with me. I never thought it was like, oh, that's a badass nickname. It's just like, it's kind of
goofy. Yeah.
So this one was a 3, you said.
Yeah, not very marketable. I thought he was a good fighter. I thought it was interesting, that fight with DJ, how everything in the beginning. But yeah, I got to say it's like a 3. It's not very memorable.
Okay, all right.
Not marketable either.
Yeah, definitely
Uncle
not marketable.
Creepy shirts. Just walk around with one that says Uncle Creepy.
Yeah.
Not good. Which
I support
the next,
Uncle Creepy. The Gracie Hunter.
Kazushi Sakuraba.
Nice.
Dude.
Legend.
That is a really hard nickname, man, because it's like, dude, you beat so many of them that you're starting to become a hunter of that clan. And who started UFC's like number 1? You know what I mean? Like who started the jiu-jitsu, the Gracie family. So the fact that you're this Japanese guy going around hunting them, it's like it's pretty scary, man. So and jiu-jitsu came from judo, and he's trying to represent that background. He's kind of coming back. He's like, judo is big, but you guys kind of took over the show with jiu-jitsu. So he tried to create like the old traditional martial art versus martial art, whereas nowadays it's martial artist versus martial artist. You know what I mean? So he kind of and then that mask that he had on, that was badass. The Gracie, that's got to be like a 9.9 in terms of like legendary.
Ooh, I like it.
Right? I think what'd you guys say? Wouldn't you say that's one of the coolest nicknames ever? Like, dude, that's hard,
It's also like family too, with the Gracies. Like, I think that just makes it so much better.
And it's also like you can't have that nickname until you've earned that nickname. Like, no one's going to call you that before you fight anybody.
Right.
Like that's a nickname earned because he took out so many great. It's so cool. It's so.
You don't come up with that first and then go in there and lose to a Gracie. Then you're like, well, there goes my career. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gracie
nickname. Fighter.
And back in the day, those guys were feared, and the fact that he was going after him like that, it's like, dude, man, that's crazy,
Yeah,
for sure.
Legend.
All right, Rich.
Bang Bang. It's a little tricky one too.
Huh.
This one's tough.
I don't know this one.
I'll give you a hint, and it's one of those that do work with either a first or last name. It does flow with his name.
It's not Dwayne Ludwig, is it?
No, he was just Bang, right?
He was
Dwayne
just Bang,
Ludwig?
yeah.
Yeah.
Bang, Bang. Huh.
The reveal, Rich.
Yeah.
Chitty, Bang Bang, and Jaquani.
Okay. He
This
has a
one was
brother,
tough.
right? His brother's Anthony.
Is it Anthony? He does have a brother who also fights. Yeah. Is it Anthony?
Yeah,
I think it is.
I think so. But yeah, hey, so
Yeah.
we said they're going to be getting tougher as they go.
That's
This
good.
one was pretty
I
tough.
like it.
This one's pretty tough.
This one was tough because I know him, but I didn't know that was his nickname. Very interesting.
Chitty Bang Bang.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm gonna give that like a 6. It's not horrible, but it's kind of like playful, but it's I don't know. I don't really have any feelings towards it.
Yeah, so this one rolling with the name Chitty Bang Bang, but then still when you see the other ones like Superboy Choi, like man, that one still goes so much harder than this one, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think if he plays his name, like uses it a little, like marketing wise, I think it'll be, a little bit more memorable. But it's just, I don't know. And popularity of fighter always has something to do with this.
Yeah,
True.
definitely.
You got like the coolest nickname ever, but if you're not a popular fighter, you don't get that kind of love. So, I think it's a good nickname. I hope he continues to fight, win, and keep. It's like a shootout. Like bang bang. I guess that's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
That should be his little celebration when he gets a knockout.
Yeah, bang bang. That comic panel, that's cool,
Yeah.
Giving them some ideas.
All right, Rich.
The Swedish Denzel.
I just saw this.
Did you?
I think so. Yes, I just saw someone called someone the Swedish Denzel. Oh.
There might be relation to you. There might be a connection to you in this one. But it is a tricky one.
I thought I could have swore I just saw this.
Do you want me to give you a hint?
Sure.
He is fighting on the PFL card that you are also fighting on.
Sadabu.
Yep.
There you go.
Right. That's right.
Swedish Denzel.
And he's like, I just saw that. That's probably why.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot who called him that though. I think it was on a PFL video. Someone called him that, and then just kind of worked out. That's kind of funny.
What do you rate it?
7.3.
That's fair.
It's very clever. It's a very clever nickname.
He's a good-looking guy, and he won his last fight. I was there for his last fight. I just don't remember them calling him that though in his last fight. I think it might be something more recent. I don't know.
Could be. I know. Who was it when he? The fight that I saw them announce him with it was Carlos Leal. Man, he's had some success, huh? He won the tournament, and then he's in the finals now.
Dude,
again.
yeah, he's about to do it again. I think but he lost. The guy he's about to fight, he lost him last time. I think.
Mm-hmm.
So the Russian guy, right? Magomed or something.
Yeah, it ends with an Ov.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, it's cool. I like the nickname. It kind of suits him.
All right.
All right. We're getting close to the end here. The Cuban Missile Crisis.
That's not you. Did Yoel change his name or something?
It should be him. It definitely should be him.
Why have I heard this one? This is an old school fighter, right?
I'll give you a hint. He's an active fighter still. And I'll give you another hint. He's Cuban.
Yeah.
I'll give you another hint. He did call out Miley Cyrus in one of his post-fight speeches.
Okay. I know who you're talking about. It's kind of random, but I don't know the guy's name. That's the problem.
Julian Marquez.
Okay, yeah, I wouldn't have gotten that, yeah. But it's so random. He called out, he like said something to Miley Cyrus or something.
Super weird.
Yeah, and then Miley Cyrus responds, and then he dropped the ball.
He dropped the ball, yeah.
Yeah.
He
responded something. She had a great response, and then he was like, all right, now you do something. And it's like, no, dude,
Like,
what are you doing?
Like, he should have just, I don't know. He tried to get her to challenge, what was it? Like, he's like, you got to, he made a request to her, and
Yeah.
then that's
Yes.
when she went like quiet, and I'm like, oh, dude, come on, man, you had that.
You
She
had it.
responded, you had that in the bag, even if it wasn't serious. It's like the way you
Yeah.
responded was just kind of like, oh, now you're just trying to show off in front of your friends, and
It was a big
Yeah.
letdown. It was a
yeah.
Big
big
letdown.
letdown.
Okay, so I know who that is, yeah, but I didn't know his actual name.
All right.
What do you rate the
rating?
Cuban Missile Crisis?
Because he dropped the ball with that Miley Cyrus thing, I'm gonna give it a 4.
4. If it was Yoel and Yoel had that nickname, would it be a higher rating?
Of course, because he was a problem. Like it was
Yeah.
like no one wanted to fight him, and he was like a missile. You know what I mean? Like he was a problem. That was a real crisis for the middleweight division. Like they really
Yeah.
wanted to avoid him. So I thought that was really a good name. I actually think that's a better fitted nickname than the Soldier of God. Like
Agreed.
I honestly think it would have been a little bit better fitted.
Should have taken it. He should have taken it first.
Yeah.
All right, Rich.
Monkey God. This one's definitely more niche.
He's that. He's out of Vegas. He got submitted by Natan Levy. They fought. I'm trying to think of his name. He trains out of Vegas somewhere. This guy. Man, I'm blanking on his name. I don't want to say he's that one guy, but he is.
He's that one guy.
You know what I mean, though? Like,
I think I know who you're talking about, and I can tell you that is not who this is.
That's not his
but
nickname?
It is very close. You're thinking of the Monkey King, Jordan Levitt.
Oh, yes. That's
but
not
very
him.
close.
Oh, okay, the Monkey God. Oh, there's a Monkey God. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He's one step past. Once you
that
beat Nathan Levy's about to fight him because he just beat the Monkey King. He's the next step.
What's another hint? Give me another hint for this guy.
Let's see. Used to be in the UFC. Now he is in one, and he did just have a grappling match.
The grappler Reese. No, not. Man, he just
grappled Mikey Musumeci.
Musumeci, yes, and he's the flyweight champion. No,
correct.
Man, I can't remember his name right now, but yeah, I know the guy.
But you know who he is. Yeah. What do you rate the Monkey God for Jared Brooks?
Jared Brooks, that's what it was. Yes.
I mean, look at that with the mask on and everything.
That's pretty cool.
He throws bananas to the crowd for the walkout
as he
too.
walks out.
Pretty cool.
That's
a little risky.
8. You know what I mean? Like I think it works. I think it works for him. And the fact that he's a lighter guy, he's more of a grappling based. Yeah, I think it's good. It works out for him.
Yeah, I think it's a solid one. I like it.
Oh,
all right, we have the last one coming up. Okay. The last one.
The last one.
The last emperor.
On. He really is, Fedor, he really was. You got to give that one a solid 10. That one, you can't. No one's going to be the next last emperor. That's it. There's no more. We're in a new age now where there's no longer dynasties, and we're different. He was a different breed. He was the last of his kind, and I honestly think after Jim Miller, Joe Lozon goes away, that last breed, is kind of gone. John Jones too. Once he's gone, he was ridiculous, his reign. Although there's a lot of asterisks next to it, not according to me, but the public. After they're gone though, like he's gone, Joe Lozon, Jim Miller, actually Poirier. I consider him back in that time a little bit.
I go Matt Brown also.
Yeah, he was fighting, who else? I'm sorry, Charles Oliveira. He fought Frankie Edgar, back in the day during his, I consider he was his first fight in the UFC. I don't know who, maybe Efrain Escudero or something like that.
That's a name I haven't heard.
Yeah.
Charles, was very young at the time. So maybe when Charles is gone with Dustin and Jim Millen, the Joe Lozons. I think that's it. The old school's
Ooh,
gone.
Arlovsky's still going, I think, technically.
Yeah.
Andre
Is he though?
Arlovsky. Is he though?
Is he? Like I like the guy. When I like a fighter, I just really wish they retired because I don't want them to continue to
Same.
get injured. It's like it's rough watching them. Like a Tony Ferguson. The only thing though is like I feel like he's still got it because the problem is Ferguson went from Gagey, lost, to Dariush, to Chandler, and then he lost to Green, right?
And I think
Nate,
Oliveira was in between there
then
too.
The Bronx, the
yeah,
armbar.
so what? That's 6. But if you look at those names before the Bobby Green one, if you look at all those names, and that Nate Diaz fight doesn't really count because it's like short notice and he went up a weight class. So take Nate out of it and take Bobby Green out. All those names and the guys that he fought at the time were like literally. Benil was getting close to a title shot. Charles got a title shot.
He was supposed to fight Islam.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Like
It's
supposed to fight
ridiculous.
Islam, yeah.
Like you gave him for his comeback fights literally the toughest fights. And I don't care who fights Michael Chandler, it's a toss-up. It's literally 50-50.
Yeah.
Like it's either you're getting knocked out or he's gonna get hurt. You know what I mean? There's no like boring fight with Chandler. And he could easily win his fights. I think he's more of like a gladiator. He wants to put on a show for everyone now, But like, dude, I really think like Tony Ferguson, man, I really like him. I just wish they gave him a couple guys that, but in this fight game, it's so brutal. There is no, there is no like happy retirements. That's why when Robbie Lawler went out like that, I was like,
man.
And the fact that
almost
he gave
cried.
Nico Price too, of all people, like that guy's a prop. That guy's dangerous. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a knockout via hammer fist off his back.
2 knockouts off his back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, why would you give him that guy for his retirement fight? Like that's a horrible like send off. Like if anything, now you're just building Nico Price's name. But the fact that he actually pulled through, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't think I've ever seen another, send off like that. I can't remember another guy that had a send off like that.
No, not with the result. Korean Zombie had a very good send off, but not fight wise.
Yeah, honestly though, the Korean Zombie, the way he went out was like perfect. It was bittersweet, but it's like
I cried.
He went out like I remember I was watching. It was in the morning,
Yeah.
I was watching it here because I'm in California, and there's no one around. I was literally watching on my phone. And I was like, man, I'm actually getting goosebumps. Like,
yeah.
Like I didn't expect it to hit me so hard, And the way he was fighting, the way he was clipping Max a little bit, I was like, oh my god, dude! Like, is he gonna do it? Is he actually gonna pull it off? And then the way he got punched, knocked out, got slept, and I was like, that's the Zombie went out on his own. And I'd rather him do that than be gun shy and watch him get beat up like what he did to those 2 other guys. Brian
Ortega
and the other one, the boxer
guy.
Calvin.
Yeah, exactly. For me, it was like after that second round, the way he came out in that third round, it's like in between rounds, he decided like, all right, like
it was my last shot.
I'm gonna give it what I got.
Hail Mary.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah,
dude, I watched it in bed. I like woke up, put the card on, was watching it in bed on my phone. Dude, Katie's just like sleeping next to me, and I'm just like on my phone watching this. And then as she's walking out and Zombie starts playing, I'm just crying by myself in bed watching.
I definitely
what is going on?
I definitely was emotional, man. The Zombie theme, dude.
Yeah, Cranberries, so and the whole crowd starts chanting as soon as he walks out. Right when he walks out of the cage, the chorus hits. The whole crowd sing like it was perfect. It was.
I might have listened to Zombie on the way to work, like for the next week after that.
Dude,
it's just so good.
He was one of the few Asian fighters back in the day that was actually doing good. There was 2 of them. It was Don Young Kim, who thrashed Nate Diaz, surprisingly, and he was kind of coming out of the blue.
Dude, and just slammed him over and over again.
Yeah, and he only lost to guys like Tyron Woodley or Colby Covington, Korean Zombie had that freaking awesome barn burner with Dustin Poirier.
Oh, yeah. And Leonard Garcia.
And then I thought he was going to lose to Mark Hominick, and in 8 seconds or something.
Oh, that was crazy. Yeah.
Dude. And then when they were going to I remember one of the few shorts I ever bought was the Venom Korean Zombie fight shorts, and
Oh,
that was
that's
when
so
he was
sick.
fighting Aldo, and Aldo was sponsored by Venom at the same time. So they're both wearing Venom shorts, but they had their own custom one Zombie
So
short,
sick.
and then Aldo had a short, um, right it up your thigh a little bit, and then there was like a V cut. It was by Venom at the time. I had both those shorts, and I was like, dude,
Oh,
this is
sick.
the most epic thing of all time. The fact that they're gonna fight, and Aldo broke his foot, and then Korean Zombie kind of injured his shoulder. But that just goes to
Yeah.
show you how evenly kind of matched they both were, respectively, for each other. Aldo just had that younger, maybe explosiveness that Korean Zombie can track. But man, that was such a good fight. Like
Yeah. And the other thing with Korean Zombie that a lot of people don't remember too is like, dude, we missed like 2 or 3 years of his like physical prime due
yeah,
to his military service. Like, and despite that, he still had like all these bangers and like a historic, like just what a absolute legend in
Legend,
MMA.
man.
his fight with Yair too. Like he was winning that fight too.
He
Oh
would have
my
won it. One
God.
second
And then
away, he
what's
would have won.
crazy is who fights Yair toe to toe like that, kind of.
Yeah.
Like Max Holloway had his style where he pressured him and kind of like outkicked him, or he got kicked. I mean, you're no matter what in a Yair fight, you're pretty much gonna get injured unless you're freaking Volk, which is a
Yeah.
different conversation.
Your
That
computer.
guy's insane. That Volk is insane. He
Yeah.
won that Islam fight, by the way, in my opinion. I think Korean Zombie, the way he fought him, I'm like, I don't think there's a tougher fight. Like I can't remember a tougher fighter. Maybe Robbie Lawler when he tore both his freaking ACLs and fought through that, but
Oh,
like
yeah.
Oh man.
Korean Zombie might be the other guy that's just like, man, you really can't kill him unless you get like he's never really been subbed, right? He's only been like
I don't
knocked
think
out.
so.
Well, then that's the thing. It's like a perfect nickname.
Oh, the
You
Twister,
earn.
too.
It's another nickname you earn, right? The zombie. You
Yep.
just keep on moving forward. But then I think that's part of what made that retirement so emotional, because you have like this larger than life guy that's going through war, and it's finally hanging him up, and you see like,
Yeah.
hey, that's it, finally done after this legendary career of just continuously moving forward. It was amazing, man. It was awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, that's it. I think we went through all the nicknames. I lost count of how many were missed. I want to say maybe just four. Four were missed, maybe.
3 or 4, maybe.
But we
And
had a lot of
all the
nicknames
lame
thrown
ones.
your way.
Let's be real. It was only the lame ones
Dude,
that got
come on,
missed.
Beaston, 25-8.
Beaston 25-8.
No, but hey, Kai,
Oh man.
thank you. Oh, he's putting the score on the
Richard,
ticker on the
yeah,
bottom.
yeah.
So hey, thank you for
I'm reading
keeping
it.
the zero.
The 0.
But thank you, Kai, again for joining us on the podcast, man. Like I said, we were so excited to get you back on here. It's been an absolute pleasure just keeping up with you on your social media and seeing all the cool things that you're doing, the work that you're doing with Nick, the training that you're doing, the victory that you had recently. Now seeing you go over to the PFL, man,
So
couldn't be
sick.
happy for you, man. Couldn't be happy
thank
for
you
you.
guys. I really appreciate all the support. And it's always fun chatting it up with you guys, and I appreciate you guys coming up with like different conversations and topics and keeping it fun because it kind of gets repetitive with some of the other guys. But you guys have always been great. I hope to keep chatting with you guys throughout my career and continue to visit conversations and chat. And it's really cool to see you guys doing some stuff. I saw other promotions kind of sending you guys little media packets or gifts, and it's really cool to see you guys do that kind of stuff. And hopefully eventually maybe you guys cover like a couple fights or in the future, like in person, maybe get you guys out of the studio and in person.
Oh, we would love that, man. That's the goal. We just continue working. This is something we enjoy doing anyways. We talk fights no matter what, whether it's on camera or not, and meeting people like yourself, it's just kind of, it's just the cherry on top, so anything else that you want to plug though, before we let you go?
No, just thank you guys again for your time, and really, it was really fun. It's always fun chatting with you guys, and thanks for the continued support. I always love getting your guys' messages on like, hey, when's your next fight? Congrats, or like, whatever it is. It's just nice to have people like the inner circle. You know what I mean?
For sure. Well, we appreciate it. Will, do you have anything else?
Yeah, we'll play the outro, and then if you want to just hang on for a second after that,
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to this special episode of Story of the Fight.